What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. So it looked like Annie of ESPN just exposed how the Indiana Fever strategically got Stephanie White to become the new head coach. We're going to break it all down right now. For this one here, we got to go all the way up to Indy. Let's get it. Let's go. Now, I'm here to tell you the Connecticut Sun reporters is making it seem like there's some big conspiracy to how Stephanie White eventually end up leaving Connecticut. Now, we know she had 1 year remaining on her contract, and that's pretty much ain't really that long. You know, any team could have bought her out and pretty much secured her as their next head coach, because we know there's a lot of head coach vacancies in the WNBA. Now, Annie was the one who really kind of broke this story weeks before it actually had happened about Stephanie White potentially getting out of her contract, because originally a lot of people thought that Stephanie White was headed to Chicago, because we know Indiana had not fired Christy Sides yet. Well, I'm telling you right now, the very next day after Stephanie White has stepped down, that's when Indiana parted ways with Christy Sides, and that's when the red flags and arrows got to going off, and everybody got to coming up with these different conspiracies. Oh my God, she's headed to Indiana, and ultimately she was headed to Indiana. Well, Annie sat down with a podcast and broke it all down, pretty much what she think, how everything went down, because just like I stated, everybody thought Stephanie White was going to Chicago because Teresa Witherspoon got let go first. But with all that being said, let's roll the footage.
Annie, let's first start with Stephanie White. I mean, you were on the front lines. You knew that something was happening. Take us through sort of this reporting process and, you know, how you were able to really put together this story about her move back to Indiana.
Yeah, so honestly, it started because the Sky were looking for a coach, right? So you start contacting your sources about who could be available and who the Sky would even be interested in. And so, I mean, the first piece of information I got was just that Stephanie White might not return to the Connecticut Sun. And so that was
now. This is Annie pretty much breaking it down to how everything went down. Now, if you guys would have been following Twitter when all of this went down, everything she's saying is very credible, because I'm telling you right now, when it all went down, Annie was the one who was letting everybody know what was about to happen. Let's get back to the footage.
It was kind of a big question, or I guess I shouldn't say it was a question, or even that it was shocking to hear, because I think something we need to start like talking about or getting comfortable with is that in the W, just like other sports leagues, like if you're great at your job, you can be poached at any time. And that's not shameful. That's not wrong. Like that's the name of the game, right? Like teams want to be successful. We don't have to tiptoe around it. Like by any means necessary means by any means necessary. And it's okay for women's sports teams to be that competitive. And so when I first heard like, oh, Stephanie might not return to the Sun, my thought was like, do the Sky really have a shot at her, right? Because the Sky's history since winning their title has been anything but glamorous and has been anything but top tier. And when you're talking about a coach like Stephanie, she's a top tier coach. So for me, it really started with, again, trying to understand the landscape that included the Sky. And once I started to hear, you know, where Stephanie was, which team Stephanie was talking to, it kind of became clear, okay, this is where she's going to end up, right? She's from Indiana. Family obviously was a huge factor in her decision. And I think the other thing is when you consider her having that last year on her contract in Connecticut, is franchises don't want to be pegged as the team that won't let that's holding someone that doesn't want to be there, right? Because if you have a coach who's expressed a desire, again, I'm just using a coach as an example because we're talking about Stephanie here. If you have any employee who's expressed a desire to be elsewhere and you're not able to either match what they're being offered or create a circumstance where they want to be there, what purpose does it serve to, you know, prevent them from going and pursuing other opportunities, right? Because I think a lot of times when we're talking about coaches pursuing other opportunities, I could use James Wade as an example. You know, when he was talking to the Toronto Raptors, he obviously talked with the Sky about it, and they said, go ahead and have these conversations. They were in the know about it. And it doesn't serve anybody to prevent those conversations from happening, right? Because I've gotten a lot of questions about that. Well, why would the Sun allow her to go out and talk to other teams? It's like, well, why wouldn't they if she's expressed a desire to potentially be elsewhere? So yeah, I mean, it started as just an interest, to be closer to home. And then I think once it became clear that there were actually going to be opportunities to make that happen, it's, the fever made all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that a little bit, I mean, there have been other situations in the league's history where you have executives that don't allow their coaches to speak to other teams. I've heard that has happened before, especially with the Connecticut Sun under previous leadership. So, Jen Rosati allowed Stephanie White to talk to other teams. It was a courtesy that, did not happen in the past under different leadership. So anyway, that is how Stephanie White returned to Indiana. I mean, the Indiana Fever are making moves. They, let their head coach, Christy Sides, go. I can report that they are going to be paying Stephanie White's final year on her Sun contract and Christy Sides' final 2 years. So clearly they have the money to do this. But
Annie right there speaking about the whole entire thing. But something else that is not being talked about is, yes, Christy Sides still had 2 years left on her contract. So not only did they buy out Stephanie White, they also have to pay Christy Sides for the next 2 years in her contract. Talk about wanting somebody to be gone. Bro, they said, you know what? Don't worry about the other 2 years. We're going to pay you just to get the hell on, bro. That's how bad, to me, I think they wanted Christy Sides up out of there just so they can get the premier coach of the league and Stephanie White to be with this basketball team. Now, a lot of people are starting to say that it's actually Connecticut Sun's fault that Stephanie White left Connecticut because they actually allowed her to talk to other teams. And knowing her relationship with Indiana, knowing that the history that she got with Kelly, with all of the owners, why would y'all allow her to talk to an organization like that when y'all know damn well she's still under contract and they the hottest team in all of basketball, bro? Why would y'all allow that? At the end of the day, don't nobody know. But one thing I can tell you guys for sure is it's looking like a mighty good day in Indiana right now because they got Stephanie White and they get the final laugh. Get down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts about this. Keep them bells on because you want to know why? Because I'm going to bring you the news. And until next time, dog, shake the haters off. I'm out of here. Peace out. Shake the haters off.